In this video, you're going to learn about the transit of the sun and the earth in the human design system that begins today on September 14th. And you're also going to get to learn about the lunar eclipse that's happening in the full moon in Pisces that's coming up a few days after that. So here you're going to get to find out about the emotions that are going on during this transit. Lots of emotional energy. So you'll want to pay attention to this one. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So I mentioned in the major themes video that I did at the beginning of September. I do one of those at the beginning of every month. And if you haven't seen it already, you probably would benefit from going and checking it out. But one of the things I talked about was that this is an emotional month. So during this particular transit, we are kind of doubly emotional. If you will, because both the sun and the earth will be lighting up gates on the emotional solar plexus. And so they're both emotional energy. The sun has moved into the gate 6, which is the gate of friction or impact. And the earth has moved into the gate 36, which is crisis or exploration. So you can see, even just from the titles of these two different gates, that you can experience them really differently depending on how you're holding your emotional tone. So before we dive into the specific gates, let's just talk a little bit more about the emotional solar plexus, because it's often not well understood. So the emotional solar plexus is part of the solar plexus chakra. It's split into two during the end of the 18th century. And so then we get the spleen center, which is on the right side of the body, and the emotional solar plexus that's on the left. But they're actually kind of right next to each other as your solar plexus. And so with the spleen, we create more out of instinct and often out of fear. With the emotional solar plexus, we are creative. We're using our higher faculties. Now, if you're stuck in fear, you'll still create with fear, even if you have the emotional solar plexus lit up in your chart. But the thing that's really important to get about the emotional solar plexus is that it's about how we can purposefully, consciously use emotional energy to create more of what we want in our lives. So we're not just at the mercy of our feelings, right? You know, I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel disappointed, I feel elated, I feel expectant, I feel, afraid. It's like not necessarily those type of things so much. That's not where the power of the emotional solar plexus lies. The power of the center lies when we can raise the frequency, raise the vibration of our emotional tone. And then we can take that emotional energy and we focus on what it is that we're excited about, that we want to bring more into our lives, right? So this is a version of law of attraction. And so we always want to be raising any of the gates to the highest frequency that we can be experiencing them, because it's powerful energy. Like the emotional solar plexus is the second most powerful engine in the chart. The sacral is the most powerful, which is what gives generators our kind of energizer bunny energy, right? But then with that emotional solar plexus, especially if you're somebody who's emotionally defined or somebody it feels like you're an emotional person, isn't it a relief to feel like, oh gosh, I can really kind of get a handle on this energy. And so we want to grow ourselves so that we can, as much as possible, be in a state of positive anticipation, be in a state of gratitude and of compassion and of joy, these kind of elevated energies, love, right? Which doesn't mean we want a spiritual bypass where we just leave aside the things that are challenging in our lives, like I had a friend who had a friend die recently, right? She's in grief. She needs to feel her grief. I'm not saying don't feel your grief if something big happens in your life, right? Or don't feel a disappointment if something doesn't happen the way that you thought it was going to happen. You want to feel your feelings, but you don't necessarily want those to control you, right? You want to be able to feel your feelings, and ideally grief will move through or disappointment will move through, right? It's when we grab onto them and we juice them up that they stick. And you got to watch out for that, because there are some sticky emotions, like anger can be that way, shame for sure, fear can be that way, where we kind of get stuck in it. So the emotional solar plexus to the rescue, if you will. It's a good center for you to get to know more about, whether it's open or colored in your chart. Either way, it's a good thing for you to know about. So knowing that, let's take a look at the specifics of where the sun and the earth are during this particular transit. So let's take a look at the earth in the gate 36 first. So like I said, it's on the emotional solar plexus, so it's emotional energy. And it is in the sensing circuit. So it's creative, it's right-brained, it's experiential, which is really important for this one. Experiential and embodied. And so the 36 is all about experience, that whole channel, the whole 36, 35 channel that goes from the emotional solar plexus to the throat. It's all very experiential. All of the sensing circuit is experiential, but especially this particular channel, because it's about experiencing life. So it's called crisis in traditional human design, I think, because we can have a crisis when we feel like we've already experienced it all. We get jaded. We're like, I've already done that. Why should I bother? Right? I mean, it's a really negative place to get into, where it's just sort of feels like nothing has a lot of juice or a lot of meaning that supports us in our lives, right? But it's more awakened expression. It's quantum human design expression. It's exploration. So this is a great example of where we can be kind of in a, grumbly crisis. Nothing is really exciting to me. I've already done everything. Kind of, it's kind of an entitled point of view, honestly. You get into that entitled energy and you can kind of just stagnate in it. You don't want to go there. You instead have that, inspiration for exploration. Like, what can I find out about? What can I engage with more? What is it that I've always wanted to dig into or go and experience, right? Like I said, it's experiential, exploring, being experiential. So the earth is inviting you to really ground yourself into having a new exploration, a new adventure, if you will. This whole channel is really all about adventure. So check it out for yourself. How can you have a new adventure for yourself during this transit? And something that's really going to ground you and make you feel good for yourself. So one obvious thing you can do is go out into nature and spend some more time in nature, right? Lie on the earth, sit with your back against a tree, go and walk on the beach and let the ocean just heal you, really, And so that's a great way to do it, because you're really grounding yourself in nature and you're having an adventure. And it might want to be more elaborate than that. You go do a ropes course if you want to see what happens in that adventure. You're exploring your edges, right? You're up in the trees and you're on the ropes and, you're getting to meet your edge. So that's a good thing to do with this, because the 36 kind of likes that big energy of trying things that are really kind of going to push you to a place where you can have a new experience. So then the sun in the 6 is resting on that 36. Okay. So it's really like your foundation. So you want to kind of lean into that one first and see what you want to do with that. And then the 6, also in the emotional solar plexus, in a different circuitry and a different channel. And so this is part of the defense circuit, which is part of tribal circuitry. So the 6 is known as friction in traditional human design, or impact in quantum human design. So the 6 can be a gnarly energy. Let's just acknowledge it. It can be a gnarly energy, but it doesn't have to be. Again, this is emotional energy. And what is the emotional tone? What is the frequency with which you're experiencing it? So if you get yourself into a state of friction, and it can even go into conflict, because this whole channel is known as the channel of love and war. In traditional human design, it's kind of the place where we can get into it with our beloveds, right? Because it's really about our close in, especially our family members, not entirely, but especially that. So just notice if you start to get into any friction or any conflict with close people into your life, whether that's a partner, a kid, a parent, a sibling, or people you spend a lot of time with, a housemate, any of those people, you want to do your best to really have a good relationship with them during this time, and to be aware of the impact of how you're acting, and the impact of your energy, and the impact of how you're shining your light out into the world, because that's what the sun does, right? The sun is like, wow, we're shining this energy out into the world. So you'll do all of us a favor, and all of us listening and watching this will do each other a favor when we're raising that emotional energy into a place where we're aware of our impact, but we're going in with adventure, right? We're going in, we're going to explore, because that's what the earth is inviting us to do. So we're going to go in and we're going to be like, oh, what is it for us to go and check out, right? What is it that's available to us? And to recognize that this could be very impactful for ourselves and for the people around us. So these two heavenly bodies are setting the stage for us. They're both very impactful. And when you look at these, you want to think about, okay, what's impacting me individually and what's impacting the people around me? Because you may feel okay around the 6. You may feel okay about your impact. You may be feeling grounded in exploration and your energy's up, but you may come around other people who are kind of in that conflict energy. So mercy for them, right? Compassion for them. Make sure you raise your emotional frequency rather than lowering your emotional frequency down to get into a fight with them, right? Just refuse to do that. Like, don't get in a fight. Just be like, oh yeah, the gate 6 is happening here. We need to find another way to engage so that we don't unconsciously get into a fight. Then, just to keep it even more interesting, on the 17th, or the 18th, depending on where you are in the world, we have a lunar eclipse that is going with our full moon in Pisces. So the sun is in Virgo right now. So the sun is really lighting up an earth energy, right? But then it's opposite. So Pisces is opposite Virgo in astrology. And that's where the moon is going to be. And that is where the eclipse is going to happen. So if you take a look at this example of the chart, you'll see that the moon and the earth are in the same place, because always in a full moon, the earth and the moon are in the same gate, the same human design gate. And in this case, they are in the gate 36, right? Of course, because the earth is in the gate 36. So then the moon is also going to be in the gate 36, but then it's also in Pisces. So again, emotional energy. The 36 is emotional energy. Pisces is emotional energy. Pisces is the most emotional. It's a water sign ruled by Neptune, highly emotional energy. So this is going to be super highlighted during this lunar eclipse and the full moon. So full moons on their own often reveal things that haven't been seen before. They're also a crescendo, right? Because this is like the brightest the moon gets, and then it starts to wane again. And it's also a super moon, so it's closer to the earth, and its impact on us is even stronger. So we want to be paying attention to this and all of the emotions that it can bring up for us. And then we also have an eclipse, which, covers things up and then reveals things, covers things up and reveals things. So we've got this full moon that's at its crescendo, right? And it's in Pisces, and it is already emotional. And then it gets covered over for a while, right? The earth's shadow covers it up for a while, and then the earth moves away. This is what happens with the nodes of the moon. But anyway, I'm not going to go there now. But anyway, when the nodes are in a certain place, the earth's shadow covers up the moon. You can see that in this particular picture that my kid actually took of an eclipse that we observed before. So the eclipse covers over that full moon. So the full moon is showing the emotions. The eclipse is covering it up, and then it reveals again. So there's that piece. And then just also remember that Pluto is in Capricorn, helping to bring up out of the subconscious all the things from the old order, from, our own ancestral line, from our own soul's journey, and from whatever we've experienced in this life, and then whatever is going on in the collective. And Pluto's just bringing stuff up for us to see. So we've got a really supercharged time for things to be revealed. I mean, one of the things the astrologers have been talking about a lot, because of so many different configurations, is truth being revealed. So get a jump on this one. get your journal out and just really be diving in. What is it that's being revealed for me during this time? How can I understand myself better? I've had stuff coming out of my subconscious that is not from this life. Like just some negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, things that are pretty hard, that have been in my subconscious. The good news is that they came up and I was able to release them during this time. So that's a great benefit that we have during this kind of a configuration, is where we can liberate ourselves and heal ourselves better, because things come out of our subconscious and then we can take a look at them and go, wow, do I really want to carry that forward, or do I want to let it go? So lots of water, lots of breath work, lots of physical activity, lots of meaningful and caring conversation with people you trust, right? Because when we gather together and we work together and we can support each other in the process of healing, we all do better, right? And we're in this moment where we're getting to break the patterns of all the lifetimes. This is something that guides have told me for decades. And this is the lifetime in which we get to heal the lifetimes. And I think this is one of the crescendo moments of when that's happening. So make the most of it. Don't let it come up and bite you in the ass by not paying attention. Really grab a hold of this, harness it for yourself and then direct it where you will. And this is one of the big blessings of emotional energy, is when you get a handle on it, you can harness it and you can direct it. And direct it to what it is that you want to be experiencing, what you want to be feeling, how you want to be contributing. This is a big time for contribution in the world, where we're wanting to make our world a better place. We want to be a part of the solution. And I know that you are a really important part of that. I want to invite you to join me on the 19th, September 19th. We're doing a sacral session where we're going to demonstrate sacral authority, and we're going to work with what are the key things that you need to know in order to be able to really access your sacral authority. And then we're going to practice it together. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one on your sacral authority, because my experience is a lot of people have the idea of their sacral authority, but they don't actually trust it. They're not really sure how it feels. They're not really sure how to work it. Is this my sacral? Am I making it up? Am I living out of fear? What is it? So end your confusion and your misunderstanding. Come to that. It's happening through our Becoming Sovereign Quantum Retreat Center. And I'm also going to put a link down below where you can register through Zoom if you want to, or you can come and join us in the Quantum Retreat Center and watch it there and be able to talk to other people about it. So yes, that's happening on the 19th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. UK time, British summertime. So I hope that you'll be able to come and join us for that. And the replay will be available if you can't join us live. Okay. Many blessings, much love. And, just be kind to yourself and to be kind to other people during this particular transit, and just refuse to get into conflict. Find another way. All right. Bye for now.